Panamera Turbo, launch control. Priceless. We start the review of the all-new Porsche Panamera with the most spectacular function, and that is the new optional suspension. Look at that, the Porsche Active Ride. And what does it do? It can, with this hydraulic system, control each individual wheel with a force of 1 ton per wheel. And if you have that function activated, then, for example, usually when you accelerate, a car would go like this. But then when you accelerate, it goes in the opposite direction to counter out this movement, that the car either stays upright or even goes further, kind of overcompensate. You can choose this function. So here with the smartphone is in demo function. I can put it front and back, and also left and right. If you go around, then you can see how it can actually lean into the corner. And you have to differentiate between comfort and best performance. So for comfort, this overcompensating, like leaning into the corner like a motorcycle, would actually make sense in a way. But then again, for best performance, because here, when I shake up the vehicle really a lot, then you can see how the vehicle is, kind of lifting up a little bit. It might lose grip and so on. And this is not good for the performance, but good for the comfort then from the passenger. What it also offers is, I can just go up and down, and this is also this easy entry function that you can go in like this. You don't need a Cayenne anymore basically, and then it goes down while driving. And the same also happens then in the Sport or Sport Plus mode. Sport or Sport Plus do not overcompensate best performance. The car always stay upright, but then it even goes lower. So for example, when you're driving faster, the car stays lower center of gravity, also better than, for the aerodynamics on the motorway and so on. So much you can do with this suspension, but this is just one aspect of the new Panamera. And in this driving review here today, we will test the base version, the Panamera with the rear-wheel drive, versus the so far top version, the Turbo with all-wheel drive, and the 8-cylinder. So 6-cylinder versus 8-cylinder, base suspension versus the more extended super suspension we've just shown you. Everything you need to know with Thomas Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the front of the new Panamera. Panamera. This is here the Turbo, and that means you have a different styling in the lower part. Always the new Panamera gets the, like this wider opening in the lower part, but here the Turbo gets the horizontal daytime running lights, whereas the base version has it here in the vertical way. Then the turning indicator is also vertical. That's very interesting. And also here on top of the hood, wider accentuations. And you might say, if you look at the previous generation, isn't this just a facelift or something? Well, truth is, 1/3 of the parts remained the same, like the raw chassis. 1/3 of the parts have been really majorly overhauled or changed, and another third are completely new. So no, I wouldn't say it's a facelift, but maybe it's also not 100% new generation, something in between. Then again, we have to say, basically most of the new generations that come from newer vehicles, they have something in common with the previous generation. They just build, and put this vehicle on an evolutionary change. Same happened here also for the Porsche Panamera, because the customers wanted to keep this design actually. And the question is, do you like it? Do you see a difference? Headlamps, by the way, matrix LED is standard, optional or standard here for the Turbo, HD matrix LED for even better high beam performance. And what they have touched for the first time, look at that here, the Porsche crest, the logo. This is also now in monochrome for the Turbo to be a little bit more special. And they haven't done that before because, think like logo, you shouldn't touch that. But yeah, here they did it now to give you a little bit more differentiation between the normal and the Turbo. Well, inside, there you can see the car lifts up. They can get out. Here when I close the door, here also with soft touch, then you can see after a while it goes down again. This is also working with this Porsche Active Ride, this entry up. And look at that, just how quickly it goes. Here we go. There it is. And you might say people went for the Porsche Cayenne because they have a higher entry and so on. You can easily get in and out. Maybe this new system makes the Cayenne obsolete. Tell me in the comments what you think about that. Yeah, but again, it's maybe not necessary, but what is necessary with the Porsche? After all, 8,000 euros is the extra price here for this Porsche Active Ride. I'll buy a whole car for that. In the length, not too many changes for 5 meters and 5 or 199 inches, more or less the same. And there's also still an executive version available that is 15 centimeters or 6 inches longer. However, what's not happening anymore is the Sport Turismo that would be continued right here, available in the previous generation, not here in this one. 19 to 21 inch wheels, and you can see these are the biggest ones, 21 inch. I love this spider design, and here it has the center locks. So this derived from motorsports that you can easily take, off the wheels and put new ones again at the pit stop. Here now, well, I asked them, does it have any function, because this is not going on the racetrack for pit stops, and they said not really. It's design, 350 horsepower, by the way, for the base version, 680 horsepower here for the turbo, and yes, later there will also be a Turbo S. Then here in the rear, the light strip goes all the way through, adaptive rear wing, that always looks very spectacular, and rear and on exhaust pipes in the lower part. Rear axle steering, by the way, is an option. Then the rear wheels turn in the opposite direction than the front wheels to give you a more narrow turning circle. Yeah, of course, standing here at the exhaust, the question is, what's the sound here of the V8? Dia is easing around this Panamera here in our parking lot for the next shooting position. Looking good there in the Panamera, definitely, doesn't she? As for the engines, you start with the V6 bi-turbo in the base Panamera, around 5 seconds in the acceleration figure, rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Then that one is also available as the plug-in hybrid, or e-hybrid as they call it, around 4 seconds in the acceleration. And then this one here, the 4-liter V8 bi-turbo in the turbo e-hybrid. This one then around 3 seconds in the acceleration figure, always all-wheel drive. And they also upgrade the whole plug-in hybrid drive system, now at 22 kilowatt hours net from the battery, more pure electric range, around 70 kilometers or 40 miles of rear-wheel range. And of course it supports the whole performance thing. And very important, it has a 400 volt architecture, and only if you have a hybrid, this Porsche Active Ride suspension is available, because this system needs a high voltage, otherwise it wouldn't work. So base Panameras just get the base air suspension, and as soon as you go for a hybrid, normal one with the V6 or here the turbo with the V8, then actually you can get the Porsche Active Ride with the and so on. So we also expect a Turbo S later, and also a V8 without hybrid. This is the key fob here, always nice and beautiful. By the way, the turbo here, so-called turbo night accentuations all over the vehicle. However, here then the inside of the door handle is black, would be chrome with the other ones. Personally, I would have just made it in vehicle color. Then, as for the doors, first of all, we have the soft close here, and then the door also goes, like the whole vehicle also goes up. But still, let's test the door closing sound, which is really solid. Nice. Then inside of the doors, this one here, high gloss black piano lacquer, but then we have some microfiber inserts here. This is also all soft touch. Inside of the door pocket here, there's a rubber pad on the ground. This is here structured, and on this very small inside part, there is some felt covering. This is then here the turbo with the turbo entry badge, and we have a special interior for you here today. First of all, with microfiber steering wheel, and then we have this carbon fiber here, soft touch also on the dashboard, white contour stitches, and Porsche calls it Pepita, or it's also houndstooth you can call it. Here the special retro fabric inside. This is the animal-free interior that's also offered for the Panamera. And it is without any extra for the turbo. Other than that, it has a relatively small extra price in Porsche comparisons. And the cool thing here is that this seat here is not only any more animal friendly, but it's also more comfortable, because the Soft fabric adapts better to the body, so it's sportier and more comfortable at the same time. Here, a lot of headroom left still with 189 or 6'2", sitting relatively low. This one, the one without panoramic roof, there is also a version with panoramic roof available. Middle console here, I love the microfiber covering. Look how huge the middle console has become here. Then you open it like this. There's this splitter here. You can change it or take it out completely. Then adaptive cup holders right here. This slider here for this case is like the inductive charging case, also cooled, USB-C charging. This is actually quite cool, good solution in here. Just, I'm not sure why they haven't fixed this one here completely. This here can be moved, you know. I would have just put it in a fixed way, probably like that. Then I really love here clicking sounds here for the volume button and also for the temperature control. Glad they kept this one right here. In the screen setup, digital instruments, then the main infotainment system, and there is an optional passenger screen. At the moment here, from my perspective, you can see nothing. And the base version also just has a black decor element here, but here if you have the screen and then move over to the passenger, and now Leah is overtaking the camera. There we go. Then we can actually see the passenger screen, and then you can have everything what you see. Yeah, I'm doing it more or less blindfolded now here, this control of the menu. So yeah, interesting to have that option, but is it necessary? Tell me in the comments. Easy to adjust the drive modes here at the steering wheel, clicking feedback. And then you can pick the individual modes. Infotainment system here, the Apple CarPlay integration, or then back to the Porsche menu. Here, for example, you can extend the spoiler if you want to show off to your friends. You can also deactivate the speed warning here now, because it might be annoying in the EU, but you can also set it to a favorite button at the steering wheel. Rear seats, first of all here, soft touch also top of the rear doors. Really nice build quality here also with the door handles and so on. And then you can also get a through bench, theoretically, if that makes much sense. I'm not sure about that. Usually here you have the two single seats in the rear. That also looks cool because it's like a racing seat also for the rear. You also can get these here, these additional head restraints. They are beautiful here with the microfiber as well. And indeed, super comfortable. So I love them because legroom wise, you see, it directly fits for tall adults in the rear when there are also tall adults driving. So not too much legroom. Headroom here is okay. Again, the one without panoramic roof. But the seats themselves are actually quite cool. And yeah, the head restraint, definitely my absolute favorite. Once again, the fabric adds more comfort to this vehicle. Then the rear screen here, you can also check out the GPS from behind, for example. If you go back to that main menu, and yeah, Leah has more beautiful fingers, that's why she's doing that. Here, there we go. In the lower part, there's then the climate unit. Maybe a little bit too complicated. What do you think? But it looks fancy, doesn't it? And another feature I also love, yeah, of course, her as well. But here, the feature of the vehicle, here in the lower part, this is actually a very nice mechanism, also build quality-wise. So close it and open it. It feels really smooth. And then you have these cup holders, and you can also move them upward a little bit and push them down again. And last but not least, you have this middle console there to be folded down, some more space underneath. And the cool thing is here, the top part is also with the microfiber covering. Trunk or boot, 420 liters here for the turbo hybrid, 430 for the other hybrids, 490 liters for the pure combustion versions. However, the differences are rather at the sides, not in the height. Same height for all. And here you can see you can also store the luggage, not like this here. This wouldn't work. So upright would be more inward then. The width also is limited, just here around 90 centimeters or 35 inches in width. And the length here is about 1 meter or 40 inches. You can also fold the seats here, 2/3, 1/3 split, as you can see. This cover here, two different ones are available. This one here is automatically expanding in and out. And you might wonder, where does that lead to difference go? So first of all, here in this hybrid, I cannot lift anything up here. So in the pure combustion engine, I could lift this one up, have more space underneath. And then we have here, this all covered. Otherwise, there would be a hole here. But then in the hybrids, the 12, maybe no one is watching now. Then we can There we go. So this is here the small, the low voltage battery, which is placed right here with the hybrid versions, and that's why you lose in the liter figures. But the everyday usability is more or less the same, I would say. For safety reasons, I recommend to deactivate the foot sensor. You can swipe with your foot underneath to open or close the trunk, because when you stand here behind the vehicle, you stand like this with your feet under the vehicle, because you have to reach over. Here, this area is quite wide. So you're standing here and then you're doing something. It happened to me twice now, that you move a little bit here like this and there. And then by that you activate then here the foot sensor, and then it just comes downward and hits your head. So I would really deactivate it right here in the infotainment system. It is possible, at least. Yeah. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge. All new Porsche Panamera. First of all, rear-wheel drive, base spec. Around 5 seconds in the acceleration figure, it says, how does it feel? Launch control. Plop, that's 100. Woo! Nice. Yeah, I think. If you say you want to go for a base Panamera, the Lia meter worked. Lia meter definitely worked. Yeah, and the Sport Plus mode here. Suspension is stiffer, base air suspension here. Really good connection to the road. 21-inch wheels in this case then, and good feel from the steering, so it just feels really nice, precise and direct here out of the corners. I love that. The rear-wheel drive only Panamera really feels that you get out of the corners really nicely. So a rear-wheel drive only car, of course, is always something different, something special, and might just be worth to stick with in comparison to an all-wheel drive model. It always gives you the, let's say, most puristic driving feeling. I love that. Wow. I mean, it's a large sedan and it looks elegant. Yes, it also looks sporty, but you don't expect when you see that large thing on the outside that drives so sporty. And it is indeed a sports car in disguise, even here already in the base version. So let's take this one here to the motorway quickly. 60 kilometers an hour. Let's see what we can score. 100. 120. That's really nice. Lane change here at higher speeds. Yeah, really stable. The air suspension is tuned to a rather stiff note, especially when you're here in the Sport Plus mode. Also see the symbol here in the instruments. The car is sitting lower. Lia has to hold on, right? Yeah, it's really cool. Let's see the difference here when we go to the normal mode, because this review is also about suspension technology. Normal mode, lane change. Difference? Kind of similar. I mean, it is a little bit stiffer in the sport mode, but you can drive this one in normal drive mode and will be just fine. And as I said, because it's rather stiffly tuned, you don't feel much floating of the air suspension. You rather see that the car is kept upright. And this is not here the vehicle with the hydraulic suspension edition. So this is a base air suspension, and then we're soon going to find out what is the real difference. So remember that for the Turbo, and later the Turbo S, you'll pay like double the price. And so we have here the experience with the acceleration and then also the experience with the normal air suspension. 21-inch wheels we have mounted here already, so you feel that even though the suspension is doing a great job, when you're driving over some like really small bumps or lines on the road with these 21-inch wheels, you still feel that. So if you want more comfort, then you would go with smaller wheels. Many customers will use it motorway journeys, long time. What about the assistance systems? Adaptive cruise control rules the distance to the car in front of me, and also this is in here with the active lane keeping assist. By the way, here in the main menu, that's like the top main menu. But here in the lower part, this is then for all the driving functions, and then there's assistance. And here you can activate or deactivate the active lane keeping assist. Actually quite easy to find. And then here you can see smooth transitions always, so no hectic movement from the steering to be centered in the lane. No active lane changing possible though. it yourself. Here we go for overtaking maneuver. Then easily go back in lane again. Yeah, it's always fun to do that yourself, definitely. And what else I can show you? There's now a Passat overtaking us soon. So there it is. There's the blind spot monitor. When I hit the turning indicator, it's also actively flashing. It's always a very important thing to have. As for the noise insulation, from the wind noise, I feel it's really silent. However, I mean, it always depends on the tarmac, of course, but we feel that there's still a lot of road noise coming through the vehicle, so we have felt that a little bit better in other luxury vehicles, but it's always really hard to compare because you should do that with the very, very same road surface. Now the Panamera Turbo launch control. Let's see what we can score.
Oh my god.
Okay, the Leah meter did go off. Well, maybe you want to see her one more time. Priceless. Priceless, definitely priceless. Now we couldn't even hear the engine. But it was more beautiful to hear you. Yeah, this is the turbo. You hear it and you feel it. So, yeah, definitely there is a difference. It's so instant, that acceleration. So as soon as you hit it, you really feel also both powertrains there at the same time, an electric motor and the combustion engine. And of course, the V8 just has this punch to get the Leah meter going. Wow. Yeah, it is definitely a difference, and 2 seconds in the acceleration figure is also a massive difference. Yes, the normal Panamera is quick enough, no doubt about that. But this one is just a spice up more. Wow. I mean, there is the difference V6 versus V8. And then, of course, you're also with the hybrid. You can also get the hybrid V6. It's also possible. So that is more than, again, do you maybe need it for taxation? Do you want to drive locally emission-free? Really depends on the use case. And here, this one is equipped with the Porsche Active Ride. However, it really depends also on the driving mode. So here in Sport and Sport Plus, it just keeps the car upright. You know, it doesn't do this overcompensating function. So when I'm driving like this here, car stays upright, can accelerate out of the corner very well. That's really nice. And you can see the difference here also when I'm, for example, accelerating here, upright, braking, upright like this. So here, active tilt control, active pitch control. When I go to the hybrid mode, like this, now actually both overcompensating functions are active in hybrid and in the e-power mode as well. And when I'm then on the throttle, I feel nothing at all, you know. It's almost like really uncommon. Also when you're on the brake, the car stays even more upright because usually it would lean a little bit forward then, you know, and it kind of feels unnatural because you have learned how cars react. So when you're on the brakes, it goes forward. And this over the speed hump is also interesting, right? Yeah. So I would say it's in a way counterintuitive. So you hit the brake and you expect the car to lean forward, but it doesn't do it. So in a way, it messes a little bit with your brain, you know. We can also test how it is when you go left and right. Here at the moment, system is active, this overcompensating. It's not that it leans into the corner extremely, like we did in the demo car, which you cannot purchase as a customer. Here, and when I go to the sport mode, when it's deactivated, do you feel a difference? It's really hard to tell, you know. So like forward, backward, I think you feel that one more. The sideways part, maybe a little, you know, but only because the suspension keeps upright anyway in all the situations. Plop. Wow, that was easily accelerated once again. But even here then, when I'm Sport Plus mode and this, you know, active tilt and pitch control is not active, it still keeps it upright, you know. So the suspension is so elaborate always without that overcompensating function. And we can one more time try it with the hybrid then, when I'm accelerating a little bit harder. Yeah. The more extreme you go, the more you actually feel that, you know. So only when you really hit it. In normal situations, like when you're normal speeds on the motorway and going left and right and in the city, then it will not be the biggest difference actually. So here I would say the acceleration difference between the V6 and the V8 hybrid, this is really a very notable difference. If you get the base air suspension or here this technology system, is it worth to pay 8,000 euros extra for it? It is a super interesting technology and it's incredible what it's able to do. But I think this entry help will probably help you more in everyday driving than anything else. And also, if you have to say, you may hear it also, like here from the camera, these rattling noises. This from the camera, not from the car. But the thing is that we have also 21-inch mounted here, 21-inch wheels mounted, and yeah, I'm now switching a lane that we don't are, you know, like we're not in this destroyed road part. It makes more difference if you just pick smaller wheels for your comfort than actually switching the suspension technology, honestly. This suspension technology is here there that it kind of combines comfort and sportiness and increases it both at the same time. But for 8,000 euros extra, I would just be really fine with the base air suspension as well. Wow. So my engine corners for you. Yeah, it almost feels disconnected from the road. That's the thing, you know, but not in a bad way, you know. It feels like we're flying over the road, but we're flying a stiff spaceship. You know what I mean? So it's not this flying carpet ride like we know from air suspension. It's a stiff connection. It's like you are following the road, but you're disconnected from it in a way, you know. But at the same time, you have great connection also to the steering. You know what you're doing. And I feel when you are in that sport mode and this overcompensating is off, you definitely feel the road in the car more, you know. So this is really for tech lovers. That is really an amazing piece of technology. But my tip would be going for the, you know, for the fabric seats here, V6 rear-wheel drive, and you have a more puristic driving experience, I would say. This in here, the turbo with the e-hybrid, maybe for taxation reasons, or then with the Porsche Active Ride, really then for all the tech lovers. And of course, if the extra money doesn't really hurt. And of course, we have to talk about pricing, at least 100,000 euros or dollars for a base Panamera. But even the V6 base rear-wheel drive spec we had earlier was with a lot of the extras inside and so on at 160,000 euros. Really? And then the turbo e-hybrid at least 180,000 with all the bells and whistles we had in this one here. Almost 250,000 euros or dollars, so $250,000. That's insane, definitely, isn't it? I mean, it's an incredible machine, but also incredibly overpriced. Now, compare some more Porsche content and tell me what you think about the all-new Panamera.